That Thanksgiving, her father rose, glass high, and declared, "She deserves a man, not a child who cannot even afford his parents' anniversary." I retorted to him, for all to hear. My wife screamed, "Apologize right now, or we're over." I grinned, uttering no sound. And weeks later, when she returned home, there was no home left to return to. You know that feeling when you're just trying to keep your head down, to do the right thing, and then suddenly, the ground gives way beneath you? For me, that moment hit at a Thanksgiving dinner, when my father-in-law publicly shredded my character, and my wife, the person I loved more than anything, demanded my apology, not his. It was a betrayal so sharp, it made me question everything I thought I knew about our life together. What the hell happened next? Well, that's where things got really interesting. My name is Marcus, and I'm 32. By day, I'm a project manager, meticulously tracking every detail. By night, I'm the family's go-to guy for fixing things, from flickering lights to tangled finances. Numbers? They calm me. They keep me honest. My apartment isn't fancy. A second-hand couch, a sturdy dining table I sanded myself, a whiteboard calendar bursting with color-coded tasks. I'm steady. That's how most people would describe me. Then there's Ava, my wife. She's 30, absolutely brilliant, and the kind of person everyone adores. In her family, she's the golden child. Her dad, Victor, is a patriarch straight out of a movie. Big voice, bigger opinions, always sizing men up by their watches and their car notes. Her mom, Diane, smiles sweetly while refilling your wine glass, delivering judgments so subtle you don't feel them until you're already home, reeling. They never said it out loud, but the roles were carved in stone. Ava deserved, Victor decided, Diane smoothed, and I provided. Our wedding? It was small, exactly how I wanted it. A pasta buffet, thrifted vases, music from a playlist I curated. No string quartet, no ice sculptures. I remember Victor, though, frowning at the mason jars. "A real man makes memories worth framing," he grumbled. I just smiled, stacked chairs, and let it go. You learn to let certain comments pass right through you, or you'd be fighting ghosts every single night. This year, Thanksgiving was at Victor and Diane's, as always. The table looked like it belonged in a magazine. Linen runner, gold chargers, candles making the ceiling glow. Football murmured in the background. The cousins were off in the den. The aunts, buzzing in the kitchen. And the men? They rotated between the driveway and the TV, talking about nothing like it was a high-stakes sport. As we walked in, Ava squeezed my hand. "Please," she whispered, her voice tight. "Just don't react. Dad's in a mood." "About what?" I asked. She didn't answer. The turkey was perfect. The wine, expensive. And the small digs? They arrived right on cue. Victor, with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "How's that little job?" "Still playing with spreadsheets." Then Diane, louder than necessary, for the whole table to hear. "Ava works so hard. She deserves a break from worrying about pennies." I just cut my food into neat squares, reminding myself to breathe, just breathe. I had a plan for the next week. Pay rent, move a chunk into savings, pick up an extra shift. But in that room, money wasn't about math, it was about control. After dinner, the lights dimmed. Victor stood, raised his glass, and tapped a fork to the crystal 3 times, like a judge calling court to order. He cleared his throat, surveying the room with that benevolent expression he wears right before he drops a bombshell. "To family," he began. "To my daughter, who deserves the world, and to the men who make it possible for the women in this family to live well." He turned to me, eyebrows slightly raised. "Some men, anyway." A humming silence fell, and then he went for it. "She needs a man, not a little boy who cannot even afford his parents' anniversary." Forks froze midair. Someone coughed, trying to disguise a wrong-sounding laugh. Ava's fingers tightened around her napkin until it was a crumpled mess. I met Victor's gaze. He looked back, utterly pleased with himself, like a coach who'd just motivated a player by calling him soft. My mind raced. I thought about the 2 checks I'd covered for his own credit card, discreetly, because Ava had begged, saying he was waiting on a bonus. I thought about selling my only guitar to help Ava's sister get out of a lease she couldn't afford. I thought about how many times you can bail out other people until they start scheduling their emergencies around your payday. I didn't stand. I didn't make a speech. I answered him, right there, in front of everyone. with a quiet certainty that even surprised me. "You're wrong," I said. Victor blinked. "What did you say?" "You're wrong," I repeated, same tone, same volume. Ava shot up from her chair like a spring-loaded doll. "Apologize right now," she hissed, her voice trembling. "Or we're over." The room exhaled in a single, delighted gasp, the way rooms do when drama is promised. I just smiled. No teeth. I didn't say a word. And when she finally came home weeks later, there was no home to come back to. But this didn't start with that toast. Oh no. It started in small rooms, years earlier, with comments that sounded like jokes until you realized how often they were repeated. The first time I met Victor, he shook my hand and then looked at my watch like he was reading it. "You planning to upgrade that?" he asked. "Ava has an eye for nice things." I laughed. He didn't. When Ava and I moved in together, we picked an apartment we could actually afford on one salary. Because I like sleeping through the night, you know? Victor visited once, stood in the doorway, and nodded at the laminate floors. "Starter place," he said. Keyword, starter. Every conversation after that was about the next thing, the bigger car, the condo, the vacation you can post on Instagram. "Ava grew up a certain way," Diane would say, swirling her wine. "She shouldn't have to go backward. There's a version of me in another universe who tried to keep up. I saw him once, doing overtime, hating the expensive furniture he was paying for that was hurting his back. I didn't want to be that guy. I kept our budget clean. I said no to things that weren't for us. The problem is, if you say no too often around people who say yes to status, it sounds like you're saying no to them." The anniversary they were still mad about? Victor and Diane's 30th. Ava came home, breathless with ideas. "We're doing a surprise party," she chirped. "He wants a live band, but we'll do a DJ. We'll invite 50, maybe 60 people. The venue is flexible on price." "What's the budget?" I asked. "It depends on contributions," she said, so breezily. "Your parents can give something. My aunts will handle desserts. My brother will get drinks wholesale. And you and I? Well, we'll cover the rest." I didn't want to be the villain in a story told at holidays for the next decade. But I also wasn't about to subsidize a milestone for people who'd already decided I was a liability. "I can put in a number," I said carefully. "But I won't sign for the venue." Ava looked annoyed. That special look she gets when I don't read a script I haven't been shown. "You're being rigid," she snapped. "I'm being specific," I corrected. "Same thing," she muttered. When the invoice arrived, it was what invoices always are: math. Venue deposit, DJ retainer, caterer minimums, chair rentals that cost more than any chair ever should. Ava slid the paper across the table like a dealer. "We need 3,000 this week." "I can do 1,000, I said. She held the paper between two fingers, looking at me like I'd just bumped her in a crowd. That night, Victor called me for a man-to-man chat. He used the word man far too many times. "A man shows up," he lectured. "A man doesn't let his wife carry the load. A man doesn't say, 'I can't.'" I let him talk until he ran out of steam. When I didn't fill the silence with promises of money, he filled it with insult. "You can't even afford your own parents' anniversary," he sneered, twisting my boundary into a blade, and then pretending to be shocked by the cut. I almost told him that my parents didn't want a party. They wanted their roof fixed. I almost told him about the 3 times I'd covered his waiting on a bonus. But I didn't. There's a rule I follow now. Don't argue with people who think greed is a love language. Ava and I had the same fight, just in different outfits, for an entire year. When her younger sister wanted to break a lease, Ava said, "She's basically a kid." She was 26. When her brother floated a business that was clearly a pyramid scheme with one more step, Ava insisted, "It could be huge." It wasn't. When Diane's card got declined at lunch, she texted Ava to handle it with your joint. And the next day, I watched a line item hit a card that had my name on it. "It's family," Ava would say. "I'll pay you back." She forgot. Not on purpose, maybe. But forgetting is easy when there are no consequences. I tried to build a middle ground. I made a shared budget, color-coded, with categories we'd agreed on: rent, groceries, savings, fun, even a small family support line with a cap. Ava seemed impressed. "It's cute," she said. And just like that, I watched the plan turn from a practical tool into a polite suggestion. Cute doesn't change behavior. Boundaries do. I just didn't have the stomach for the fight yet. The little humiliations piled up. A family dinner where Victor clapped a hand on my shoulder and said, "Let's hope he gets a real raise soon." as if my salary were a temporary illness. A holiday where Diane asked, in front of everyone, "Do you think Ava will ever get her ring upgraded?" Like my love could be measured in carats. A loan to her brother that became a gift because he lost his phone the week he was supposed to transfer it back. I'm not perfect in this story. I did things I didn't want to do just to keep the peace. I covered charges. I swallowed my pride. I let my balance sheet carry the weight of other people's feelings. And every time I did, Ava's gratitude bought me maybe 24 hours of ease before the next small thing cropped up. In our quiet moments, I tried to explain. It's not the money, I'd tell her. It's the disrespect. It's the way your dad talks to me like I'm an allowance. It's the way you say just this once every month. It's the fact that I'm the only one who remembers the numbers. Ava would soften. I know, she'd sigh. He grew up poor. He hates feeling small. So do I, I'd say. She'd kiss me. Can you please not make Thanksgiving a scene? He'll toast. He always toasts. Just let it go. Let it go isn't a plan. It's a request to pay interest on silence. On Thanksgiving morning, I ran 5 miles. I told myself, asterisk be a pond. Still, reflective, hard to disturb, asterisk I showered. Put on my good sweater. Loaded the pies we bought because Diane judges crust. I drew a line around my patience and hoped no one found it. By dessert, Victor had found it. He stood, said the thing. I said, "You're wrong." Ava told me to apologize, or we're over. In that second, the math finally beat the drama. Here were the facts. I had tried. I had bent. I had financed and forgiven. And here was my wife, demanding a public bow, just to protect her father's ego. I smiled without words because arguing with a toast is theater. And I stopped doing theater. On the drive home, we didn't speak. In the elevator, Ava stared at the numbers on the panel like they could tell her who she'd married. In our kitchen, she set her purse down. "If you don't fix this tomorrow," she said, her voice shaking, "I'm staying at my parents' until you do." I looked at her. I loved her, but I also loved myself. I said nothing. Silence can be a hammer. It can also be a door. She packed a bag and left. The door clicked shut, like a period at the end of a very long sentence. I sat at the table and opened my laptop. Not to do something petty, but to finally do something honest. I didn't sleep much that night. I made a list, because lists keep me from reacting like a fool. Asterisk separate finances immediately. Asterisk remove family as authorized users on any card with my name. Asterisk freeze the family emergency card. Asterisk draft a simple letter with terms if there's to be any reconciliation. Asterisk call my landlord in the morning about lease options. At 7 a.m., I made coffee. At 7:15, I logged in and checked every account. It's amazing how fast clarity sharpens your eyesight. Charges I'd overlooked in the fog popped into sharp focus. A salon bill, a florist deposit, a boutique purchase tagged event dress. All on the card Ava used because it was ours. I didn't rage. I downloaded statements, printed them, put them in a manila folder labeled facts. At 8 a.m., I called the card companies. Removed authorized users with a sentence I'd practiced in the mirror. I am the primary cardholder. Please remove the following users. At 8:20, I toggled off a secondary debit card on the bank app. At 8:30, I paused the emergency fund auto transfer that had become a family sugar line. At 9 o'clock, I emailed HR to split my direct deposit into a new account I'd opened last month for someday. None of it was revenge. Every click felt like a stitch closing a wound. At 9:15, I typed a letter. No flourishes, no quotes, no long preface. Just terms. Ava, if we are to continue, we need boundaries that live in actions, not apologies. We will keep separate checking accounts and a shared bill account only for rent, utilities, groceries. No family charges on any shared card. None. Your father will not speak to me like I'm a child. You will not ask me to accept public disrespect to keep peace. If your family needs help, we decide together, cap it, and document it. Couples counseling. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. I'm closing doors that should have been closed from the start. I didn't send it yet. I set it on the table and made eggs. At 10:30, I called our landlord. Hypothetically, I said, if a tenant needed to end the lease early? He sighed the sigh of a man who has heard every story. There's an early termination clause, he said. 60 days notice, or a buyout equal to 1.5 months rent. If you're out by January 31st, We'll prorate. How soon can I give notice? I asked. Today, he said. I stared at the wall where we'd planned to hang a gallery of photos and never did. Okay, I said. Send me the form. At noon, Ava texted, Dad expects you at 3 to talk. You can fix this. I wrote back, I won't be attending a tribunal. She replied, so childish. Victor called. I let it go to voicemail. He filled 2 minutes with words like coward and provide and embarrassment, and my phone helpfully transcribed them into a poem about projection. At 3 p.m., I packed a duffel, not because I was running, but because I was done living in a place where I could be invaded by other people's demands. I filled a second bag with shared documents, passports, and that folder labeled facts. I took photos of the apartment for the move-out checklist, like a man cataloging a set he'd built for a play that closed early. At 4:30, I dropped the termination form in the landlord's office mail slot. At 4:32, I texted Ava the letter. I didn't add flourish. I didn't ask if she agreed. I wrote, this is what it would take. At 5:10, my phone began the concerto of a family deprived of its favorite instrument. Diane, we're worried about Ava. Victor, be a man. Ava, you're humiliating me. Her brother, bro, you're tripping. Her sister, can we talk, just as girls? LOL. I turned my phone face down and went for a run in the cold until my lungs burned the buzz out of my body. When I came back, there were 18 missed calls and 12 texts. I plugged the phone in and took a shower. Hot water is honesty. It makes you admit what you already know. I wasn't going to unsee the truth because a room full of people told me to. The next day, Ava's message arrived. I need time. I'm staying with my parents. We can revisit when you apologize to my father. I read it twice. I wrote back, no, I won't be apologizing for refusing to accept disrespect. She read it, but didn't respond. Day 3, I started looking at smaller places. Day 4, I moved half my things into a storage unit. Day 5, I put the framed print we bought on our honeymoon in a box and labeled it ours if. Day 6, I slept in the living room on a mattress on the floor because the bedroom smelled like a memory I needed less of. On day 7, I woke up to a quiet that didn't hurt. I made coffee, made toast, sat at the table, and watched the light crawl across the floor. At 9 a.m., I called a therapist whose name I'd written on a sticky note a month earlier. I think I've been confusing enabling with love, I said. You're not alone, he replied. I'd like not to be, I said. 2 weeks later, the movers carried the last box out. The whiteboard calendar was blank. The nail holes in the wall looked like punctuation. I handed the keys over and signed the inspection form. The landlord said, cleanest move out I've seen this year. It felt like a compliment and a small funeral. I texted Ava the new P.O. box for mail. I told her how to pick up her things. I wrote, if you want to talk, really talk, send a time and a place. Not your parents' house. She didn't respond that day or the next. People think silence is empty. It's not. It's crowded with what you didn't say and what you finally heard. The first week after I moved out, my phone went through cycles. Morning, respect the boundary. Afternoon, test the fence. Evening, perform the crisis. Victor sent a group text with family meeting in the subject line, as if we were a corporation and he was HR. I didn't attend. Diane tried soft. He didn't mean it. I sent back the exact quote he had said, with a timestamp and 3 witnesses' names, and wrote, he meant it. Ava sent me photos of our couch in her parents' den, like an invitation to feel something. I did. I felt relieved that I wasn't sitting on it, nodding, while a man explained my duty to him, using my wife's love as leverage. I went to work. I went to therapy. I went running. I slept more. I started cooking dinners that were just for me, which felt selfish at first, and then felt sacred. My therapist gave me a sentence I carried around like a key. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. It sat heavy in my pocket, in a good way. On day 10, Ava called. I answered. Her voice was small and sharp in turns. You left me, she said. You left our home. You left, I corrected, when you told me to apologize, or else. You could have just said sorry, she inhaled like a swimmer. I did say sorry, I said, to myself, for letting this go on as long as it did. She was quiet for a beat. I miss you, she whispered. I miss you too, I said, because I don't lie when it matters. I just don't miss being a wallet with a mouth. She cried softly. Can we meet? We met at a coffee shop far from both families. She wore the sweater I bought her last winter. I wore the jacket she hates. We sat by the window. She apologized, without looking at me. I shouldn't have said that, she said. I panicked. I was embarrassed. I know, I said. I was there. My dad. She started, then stopped. He's old school. He's disrespectful, I said. Old school is opening the door. Not calling your son-in-law a child. She kept folding and unfolding a napkin. What do you want? She asked. I slid the letter across the table. This, she read. She made a face at counseling and said nothing. She put the paper down like it was hot. My parents will never agree to number 3. They don't have to, I said. You do. She pressed her lips together. If I agree, does that mean you'll move back? No, I said. It means we'll start. Maybe with coffee. Maybe with counseling. Maybe with a weekend where no one else's names are said out loud. She looked out the window at nothing. I don't know if I can do that, she said. They're my family. So am I said. Or I was. We sat in the heavy. Eventually, she stood. I need time, she said. Dad says you're punishing us. This isn't punishment, I said. It's math. I stopped paying bills I never owed. She left. The door chimed. The air felt cooler after. 2 weeks later, she texted, I'm coming home. The message landed like a stone. I typed, which home? She wrote, ours. I wrote, there isn't one. At 6:10 p.m., she arrived at the old apartment with a suitcase and found what I told her she'd find. An empty echo, a forwarding address taped to the door, a landlord who held up a hand and said, he ended the lease, and a hallway that didn't hold our laughter anymore. She called me in the stairwell. Where are my plates? She asked, grief and anger braided. Where is our bed? In storage, I said. Label. You actually did it, she whispered, like she hadn't believed the numbers would add up to action. I told you the terms, I said. You told me to apologize, or else. Else happened. Victor called minutes later. You petty boy, he spat. How dare you? Good evening, I said, because politeness costs nothing and irritates bullies. Please direct future communication to email. We're suing, he yelled. For what? He hung up. I went for a run and then ate takeout on the floor of my new place, a studio with good light and a door that locks quietly. I slept with the window cracked and woke to birds I didn't know the names of. The next morning, I made coffee and wrote in a notebook. Peace is expensive. Worth it. I underlined worth it twice. A month later, Ava and I met again. Not because anyone forced it, because time moves, and people either move with it or turn to salt. She looked different, tired in a way I'd rarely seen on her, lighter in a way I recognized in myself. She didn't preface. I told my dad to stop, she said, hands flat on the table. He didn't. I told him anyway. That's new, I said. I read your letter again, she continued. I could agree to all of it, except the part where he apologizes. He won't. He doesn't have to, I said. You and I do the work. He can keep his pride. I'm keeping my boundaries. She nodded. Separate accounts. Joint for bills. No family charges. Counseling. Yes, I said. And if he insults me in public again, you stand up next to me and say that won't happen. Not for me. For us. She swallowed. I can do that. Then maybe we can try, I said. I didn't make a promise. I made a plan. We went to counseling. We sat in chairs and told the truth to a stranger so we could hear it ourselves. I used Marcus as a shield, Ava said one day, eyes wet. So my dad wouldn't be mad at me. I nodded and said, I used money to buy silence. The therapist didn't clap. She just kept handing us tools and insisting we use them. Victor kept being Victor. The difference is, we stopped letting him be the director. When he cornered me at a birthday and said, men provide, I said, good thing I am one, and walked away. When Diane whispered, we're family, though, Ava said, that's why we respect Marcus's no. The first holiday after the fracture, I brought a pie and left after dessert. No speeches, no fights, no invitations to defend myself. In the car, Ava said, thank you for not reacting. I laughed softly. I'm not reacting, I said. I'm deciding. There's a difference. We didn't move back into the old apartment. We didn't buy a house to prove a point. We rented a smaller place together, with a lease that listed 2 names and an understanding. If one name was used as a crowbar by extended family, the keys would go back in the bowl. If there's a moral, it isn't romantic. It's practical. Love is not a subsidy. Respect is not optional. Family is not a credit line. My no is not a tantrum. It's a boundary. This wasn't revenge. This was closure. I closed tabs that had been open since the first time someone told me a real man never says no. My name is Marcus. I still keep the calendar and track the bills. I still make lists when my head buzzes. I am still, by most measures, steady. The difference is, I no longer loan out my steadiness to rooms that call it weakness. If you raise a glass to insult me, I won't shatter it. I'll set mine down and go home. And if you ask me where home is now, I'll say, wherever the math and the respect both add up. So, tell me, have you ever had to draw such a hard line with your family, even when it felt like you were tearing your life apart? What did you do? I really want to know what you think.